heavily linked with Chelsea. This is what Chelsea's head coach Enzo Maresca had to say about United's forward.
The club have been linked with a move for Alejandro Garnacho in this transfer window. Are you happy with the wide options you have, or do you think that you could do with one more right now?
No, I'm happy with the one that we have in this moment. That we said many times. In the right side is Pedro Noni, in the left side Jadon. With the club, with sport director, we pay attention if something can happen, and we see in the next 10 days if something is going to happen.
So, Michael, Maresca not saying too much, but we know that Chelsea have expressed an interest with about Garnacho. So where are we with that?
It's a player who is under consideration for Chelsea at present. Now, it might have to rely on Mykhailo Mudric's injury, potentially Nkunku moving on, João Felix, who's only just joined, potentially moving on as well. But we've seen already from Enzo Maresca, who's usually one of the most open managers, I feel, in press conferences. He likes to work with a tightish squad, seems to have his plan for when he plays in domestic competitions in Europe. But obviously we have to remember as well, there's another team at play here. Napoli had a bid rejected from Manchester United. Our colleagues in Italy are telling us that maybe United have perhaps lowered the demands but haven't reached a figure yet acceptable for Napoli. So you do wonder if there is an acceptable figure that Manchester United would consider. But unlike other Manchester United players, he's still being featured under Ruben Amorim.
Yeah, okay. I don't think actually United want to sell Garnacho, but we've been talking about throughout this transfer window about, you know, untouchables in squads, various squads, and there aren't that many. A player like Alejandro Garnacho, the optics, I agree, wouldn't look great if they allowed someone like that to leave. But the financial situation at United and at other clubs is such that if a suitable offer was to come in, I'm not saying United would definitely sell, they would have to look at it. They have to look at every kind of offer that comes in.
But if they've lowered their valuation of him, that's them indicating to everybody he's for sale, isn't it?
Yes and no, because it's still a substantial figure that clubs would have to get to, and they haven't managed to get to yet. And so it's one of those situations, and Michael mentioned it there, he still started against Rangers yesterday. Ruben Amorim's been talking him up. He has been starting games recently. By all accounts, he played really, really well against Rangers. And it's one of those areas where Garnacho, is he almost a victim of Amorim's style and his formation? Because where does he actually fit in? He's a winger, but Amorim's playing with two number 10s and wing backs. Does he fit into either of those? Maybe not, but Amorim has actually said he's learning and he will continue to learn in that position. So almost alluding to maybe a longer-term future at United for Garnacho, unless that big offer does come in, what United have to consider.
We also know Amorim, you can tell by the frustration the other day after their defeat to Brighton, he's desperate to get players in for his style. So there might have to be a player where maybe slight reluctance that someone has to move on to get the players he wants in. Because how many windows will it take for Amorim to change it? 3, 4?
Yeah, well, he may or may not go. Looks like Antony is on his way out, Dharmesh. What's the latest on this?
Yeah, this one looks really, really close now. We were reporting earlier on in the week that it was really close to happening with Real Betis. Well, now Antony has been given permission to travel to Seville to take a medical with Real Betis. The deal itself is a straight loan, and we've been given a little bit of information of how this deal is made up. And Real Betis will actually pay at least 84% of Antony's wages plus bonuses. Now, when I say plus bonuses, this deal could eventually mean, with this loan, that Real Betis will actually pay more than Antony's wages, and Manchester United could actually make a profit on what they would have actually had to have paid Antony in wages until the end of the season. That's because it depends on team performances and individual performances, rather like they did when they allowed Jadon Sancho to go on loan to Borussia Dortmund.
Is it unusual to make a profit like that, though? I mean, that's good business by United.
I mean, I've only started hearing of this of late when I was told about this Sancho deal, because sometimes clubs, when they do a loan, people think, right, if he's on such high wages, what is the benefit of a club having to pay a substantial portion of someone's wages to get him to play somewhere else?
Yeah.
There is that one obvious benefit. If he plays well, then the market value goes up in the summer. But on this case, they can actually make more money during the loan. So say, for example, Manchester United's percentage, which we know now is 16%, that's what they'll pay. Depending on appearances, goal involvements, goals, assists, and how far Real Betis and how well they do, maybe that percentage will go down. even to the point where it will go into negative, which would mean Real Betis would actually have to pay more.
He has to go, doesn't he, Michael?
I think file this one under best for all parties. He needs a fresh start. You know, Diamond just talked about the finances, but wow, I mean, let's not forget the fee the old Manchester United regime paid for him, but time to move on.
Yeah.